Good morning, guys. I'm so glad that you're back with me. I have another special guest today. It is Buck with Integrity Inspections. He's also the founder of the BPPA, which is a marketplace ministry. So, Buck, why don't you just say hello and tell them a little about yourself?
Hey, I'm Buck. Let's see. I don't know. Right now, today, it's easy to talk about the kids because I'm on daddy duty today. So I've got four youngins. The youngest is 16 months old. The oldest is 9, 3 boys, 1 girl. We started Integrity Inspection Service in 2017, and then we started the BPPA in 2019, just as for me, I was a member of a couple different other networking groups, and it seemed like a lot of people wanted to bring their Christianity or their faith into networking groups, but there was no room for it. And so it's like I left the networking group, and I'm like, man, I just want to go somewhere where I can fellowship with other Christians, network, do some business networking. But really, it just got down to the point that is like, the Lord is our provider, not other people. The Lord may provide through other people, but so much of the time, it's like we get so, focused on asking other people that we forget to stop and pray, for over our businesses, over our families, over other businesses. And so I just saw a real gap in the Christian community there. Um, and we wanted just to create a place where we could come and pray for other businesses. And that was kind of the launch of the BPPA. When it originally started, we called it Kingdom Connections, and we were meeting in a bar at 7:30 in the morning. So it was really cool. I think the first meeting had 4 people, but it was super cool meeting at a bar at 7:30 in the morning and just praying over the owner of the bar, praying over the people that come to the bar, and then praying for each other's businesses.
Awesome. So, let's talk just a little bit about your business, and then we'll talk some more about the BPPA. So you are a home inspector, right? That's what Integrity Inspections is.
Yes. Yeah, we
Is
do
it
home
primarily
inspections.
residential?
We do, I'd say we're about 95% residential, and the rest is commercial and multi-unit. But most of the demand is people buying houses. But we also do a lot of like both pre-listing inspections. That's where we go in and we do an inspection before they put it on the market, to make sure that they don't get caught with anything major once they put it on the market. And then we also, now we're seeing a lot of people waive inspections when they're buying houses. So we're doing a lot of what we call pre-offer walkthroughs, which is we're walking through houses with people during their showing. So when they're looking at houses that they're thinking about buying, we'll walk through the house with them before they make an offer, because there's a good chance they might have to waive the inspection contingency when they purchase the house. And then we're also doing a lot of post-purchase inspections, because people have bought houses without an inspection, and then they get into the house and they want to know what's going on, or they're starting to see some issues and they're starting to regret waiving the inspection. So then they call us after they're in the house and like, hey, we want to know what's going on with this house now, because they're starting to have that a little bit of buyer's remorse or a little bit of regret waiving the inspection and not knowing on the front end. But yeah, we do inspections, and our focus on inspections is to be very consultative and to spend a lot of time with our clients. We try to serve well, and that's really the name of the game, is loving our clients and trying to serve well. One of the things I tell people all the time is that we just want to make sure that they get all their questions answered. So there's no such thing as a stupid question. And if we can answer their questions and just help them have more peace of mind, or just more clarity, or understand what a good solution to whatever problem we find, anything we can do to help them have more understanding, more clarity, and more peace in that process is really what our goal is.
Okay, so that's awesome. So I'm guessing the best advice for a home buyer is not to skip the inspection if at all possible.
Well, sometimes it's almost right now, and I hate to say it, but sometimes it's almost skip the inspection or be homeless or live in a hotel. And so this market is very injurious to buyers. So it's financially that is because there's not a lot there's just not a lot of homes. And so the demand is so high and the supply is so low that sometimes the sellers are getting to set the terms. And to me, it's really impacted negatively the integrity of the home buying process and the transparency of the process. So it's had a lot of negative impacts on people and a lot of negative impacts on buyers. And I'd say it's even had negative impacts on sellers because what we're starting to see nationwide are people getting sued. And the buyers going back and suing their buyer's agents or their listing agents, or they're suing the seller for items they feel should have been disclosed. That doesn't mean they're winning the suit, but that does mean it's creating a lot of negativity and just a lot of injury in the process that could have been prevented through having an inspection, whether it's us or somebody else. It's just we're passionate about what we do, and to me, it's a real shame that what's going on. I mean, I understand it. I don't agree with it, but I understand. So it's just we just want to make sure that we're there to serve people in whatever capacity that we can serve during this time because it's a hard time for people. I mean, when you're forced, when you're looking down the barrel of being homeless or having to live in a hotel, or I saw someone listing a short-term rental house yesterday for $4,500 a month. I mean, it was a 3-bedroom furnished short-term rental for $4,500 a month to house people that have sold their house and can't find one. And so you're sitting here
Tennessee, let's
looking.
just preface that. This is Tennessee. This is not New York City or LA. This is Tennessee you're talking about.
This
That
is
short-term
Tennessee,
rental.
and it's worse other places. That's the thing. Like this, it's not even as bad here. I mean, all you got to do. This is East Tennessee. This is Knoxville. It's worse in Nashville than it is here. Um, and so, like I was talking to a friend that sold their house in the Bay Area of California the other day, and or about a month ago, and they listed their house for 3.2 million and ended up getting it under contract for 4.4 million, and now they're homeless. And I'm like, well, if I had a couple $1,000,000, I'd be okay with being homeless for a little while. But that's
We could
kind of what
camp for a minute, right?
do what? Yeah, I think I'd probably retire.
Yeah, I think your kids be okay with that. So,
I could live off
so
that for a
when you're
while.
talking about all the challenges, I think that that's true for most small businesses right now, which makes BPPA and marketplace ministry even more important that we come together and pray for each other. And not only is it a hard time for small business, it's a hard time for the nation with a lot of the things that are going on and with the war in other countries and what's going on over in Ukraine and the world as a whole is we need Jesus more than ever. So
Absolutely.
so I think that the BPPA is a vital part of people, and I'm part of this BPPA in East Tennessee that Buck founded. And by part of it, I mean to show up. So at
You
least
do
most
more
of the
than
time.
show up. Don't sell yourself short.
Well, so but I do think that it's
You're a
making a
crucial
difference.
member.
Well,
You're
thank you.
yeah.
I think it really does make a difference though, and I think that it's reflecting in the lives of the people that show up, and it's that reminder that you're praying for your family and your work, and we're praying for your business and your family.
Yeah, and so much of that too is, and I have a little bit of a pastoral background, and what I realized, because I always thought I was called to ministry, and I'm one of those people, like serving Jesus, and what serving Jesus looks like is you got to go into full-time ministry, and it just never worked for me. And so when we started the business, I started realizing that being a business owner is full-time ministry. When you're a kingdom-minded, Jesus-centric business owner, it is full-time ministry, and it's lonely. You're alone. I mean, where can you go, and where can you actually share your heart and be transparent with people that understand? Like, and we see that in ministers all the time, because you'll see something that's very impactful is there was a minister that committed suicide, and you're like, how does a minister commit suicide? But then you realize that it's, we're not hearing about suicides in business ownership, but what we are seeing is a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, a lot of just a lot of hurt that they're having to bottle up because you can't share that with your employees. You can't share what's really going on in your heart. And the Christian walk wasn't made to be alone. And so we need peers, and we need to surround ourselves with peers. And so for me, as a Christian business owner, my peers are other Christian business owners. And so that was so much of the original goal. And now we really want to, it's kind of like, how can we encourage leadership in the Christian business community locally? And then, as the BPPA has grown, even as it expands, how can we encourage Christian community leadership where business owners are now creating disciples, and how business owners are, and help them be Jesus focused in their business? Because one of the things I noticed early on is there's a lot of people that profess Christ or confess Christ. We'll say that there's a lot of Christian business owners, and there's such a duplicity in the way they live their life compared to the way they run their business. And so to me, part of my heart is, I think there needs to be a congruency between the way they run their business and the way we run our business and the way we live our lives. And so how can we become more congruent and more whole, in the gospel, in the whole gospel? How can the gospel reach in even to our businesses and transform our businesses as we learn to trust and have more faith? And Jesus is just, and the kingdom is just being exploding in our businesses. How can we learn to be more faithful in that aspect as we allow the gospel to transform us wholly? And that's really, I think that's probably my biggest heart is, the wholeness of the gospel and the transformation in our lives.
Well, that is awesome. And I want to have a longer conversation one day about the BPPA and about ministry. And I definitely think that putting Jesus first is the number one thing. I think this is a good start. I've been limiting the podcast to like 10, 15 minutes to get people kind of into our content. And I want to revisit this again and maybe even have a deeper conversation one day about home inspections.
Okay.
I love what's going on with Marketplace Ministry though. And thank you so much, Buck, for being a part of the podcast today.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Thanks.